It is a sad night. Unplug those Christmas lights. I don't want to see any joy in your house. Well, Ohio State just put in their backup quarterback, who number 33 for a quarterback is definitely a sweet move. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I like about Ohio State is that. Welcome to the Sideline Podcast. My name is Kevin Showalter. My co-host and best friend and ball fan, Jared Booker. We are the Sideline Podcast. This is our 15th or 16th episode. And we're two best friends. This is a fantasy football. Is mostly what we talk about tonight. We're going to recap the action from the week 1 of the college football playoff since the college fantasy football season is over. We might touch on some Campus Can NFL stuff that is still going on. But yeah, we mainly wanted to hop on here and recap the 4 games from this weekend. The Internet X is certainly a buzz from the action or lack of action this weekend. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. So those of you who have been our loyal followers, our loyal folks, we usually like to start with trivia. Sad, we will not have any trivia tonight. We just didn't. So we'll bring the trivia back, though, next week. We love doing it. Just don't have the questions today. I did change up my little tagline here under my name. At Lane Kiffin, you finished 8th place in the SEC. So I told Booker earlier today it was my goal to get blocked by Lane Kiffin today because he's just nauseating. He's just nauseating to griping. And I can't even go in on the Vols losing because I love the Vols. I love you. I want the Vols to do well, even though I'm not a Vol fan by birth. But man, the SEC. Anyway, we're going to get into that in a little bit. For now, let's start by recapping these games. And, yeah, we'll go from there. I'm sure we'll rabbit trail a little bit. We're going to keep this shorter, probably around 45 minutes. So feel free to listen on your drive home. Tennessee fans, we're bummed. Head back to your hotel. Have an extra drink for us. If you're still in the stadium, props to you. You are a real one. So,
yeah.
All right, let's just pull up my notes here.
Also, just so you know, Kevin.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been getting. I don't know if anyone watching is one of those Ohio State fans, but I've been just lighting up Ohio State for the past 48 hours, maybe longer. As a Tennessee Vol fan, I'm getting tons of. I'm getting crucified over here, and rightfully so. I was talking some trash, but so as people are sending me potentially hateful tweets, I'm saying, hey, join our live stream and call me out. So it's possible that one of those 18 people or more are Ohio State fans who just want to lay into me, and that's okay because my team did not play well and Ohio State did. So just wanted to throw that out there, and we can continue and move on to the Indiana Notre Dame game. Is that what's next?
Yeah. And so I might have to figure this out, but there's not a chat on X. There's a chat on YouTube. If you do have questions or just want to let it out with Booker, you can comment on this live stream, and we will keep an eye on that, and we will read some of those comments as they come in, because I'm sure there's a few people out there that just want to give Mr. Booker just an earful for his beloved Volunteers losing today. So one other note, if I dip out pretty quick, it's probably because my baby boy is crying. So Booker, you take it away if that happens, but hopefully he's going to sleep like a sweet little angel tonight is what we're hoping for. So, Tennessee finally going deep? Nope. Do you still have the game on, or you turned it off?
Yeah, but I'm a few seconds behind you. So when you talk, I find out what's happening in the next play. So it's all good. It's the game's over.
We're gonna get into Indiana Notre Dame here, but that 3rd and 7 speed option Like, what is that? Why? That's like no confidence in your passing game at all.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like Nico, he is going to be good, but this year he's been very one dimensional. And the teams, maybe the teams that he's been playing, he's been able to like, well, no, Dylan Sampson has been able to run, creating some run pass options and maybe making some throwing lanes more open for Nico. But Nico's still so young. Like, yeah, he got whipped tonight. And Ohio State's defense was clearly the more elite defense, but they've made him one dimensional. And so the only other dimension that Nico can bring is if they do a speed option or, or if he scrambles. So, I don't blame him. I mean, you've got Will Howard on the other side. He's played 6 or 7 years of college football. So even though I wouldn't call Will Howard an elite talent, he has a ton of experience and he knows what he's doing out there. So anyway.
Yeah. Okay, let me I remember I had one other thought there on the speed option. I guess, I mean, I remember seeing him a lot of highlight throws, but I guess that is, hey, when you run the ball over and over again, then he hits those wide open deep shots, but not necessarily doing that consistently. Okay. Anyway, all right, let's get into, again, leave us a comment on our live stream. If you have any questions, anger retorts, trash talk on the Vols, trash talk on the playoff committee, let it out. We will be sure to engage you or to read it out. So anyway, all right, let's go to Friday night. Indiana, Notre Dame. Man, 27-17, but honestly, it wasn't that close. I think what I was going to say is that speed option, 3rd and 7, is like Cignetti punting the ball because he's like, my offense doesn't have it. Like, it's like, my offense doesn't do anything, I'm going to punt, which is pretty much conceding the game. But it's also like, I agree with him, is like, hey, your guys aren't doing anything, so what are you supposed to do? Just keep beating your head against it? And they ended up finding it a little bit too late. But, I think running a speed option there is like, no, like throw the ball, throw an incompletion. That's at least you're showing more faith. Anyway, we will get into the Tennessee game. So Indiana, that I was just a rabbit trail there, Indiana in that punt play. So Indiana Hoosiers, Notre Dame. I tweeted on yesterday. This game was over. I mean, Indiana looked like they were going up 7-0. And like, I was like, wow, this is going to be interesting. And then it's just like interception, 98-yard touchdown, and that game was over. Like, there was no point, even late in the game. I mean, one rabbit trail, their kicker has a sweet onside kick. I'm like, that boy must be practicing that because nobody in the NFL can get that nice little, uppity up. And I think they just need to abandon the onside kick, but he kicked a sweet one. Did you see that?
The onside kick?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Actually, no, I don't think I did.
Yeah. So Indiana got the first onside kick, and it was picturesque. Little bounce, and then boom, right up over the defender. It was sweet. But at that point, you're counting on an onside kick. The game's pretty much over. But anyway, that 98-yard touchdown by Jeremiah Love. I thought it was interesting. You posted that poll of would Jeremiah Love have over 100 yards or would Rourke have over 200 passing? Both answers were correct, but the Jeremiah Love was interesting. He had the 98-yard run, but then he had like 7 carries for, I don't know, 96 yards. Like, he was just like not doing anything other than that huge run, which obviously was a huge run. So the play of the game, but he didn't do much else. But yeah, from that point, it just didn't look like Indiana was going to have a chance to win it until late. If things break your way, you get lucky at the end of a game, but that's not how you want to win a football game. Is you hope things break your way. Late. So Let's go through box score here. Again, Indiana couldn't run the ball. Ellison had 37 yards, Lawton 34, Rourke 215 passing yards, 20 for 33. Like, it just, I don't know. They put up decent. Miles Price 5 for 56 and a touchdown. Even in Indiana or in Notre Dame, nobody really, like Riley Leonard didn't have that great of a game. He didn't run for that many yards. Like looking at the box score, you would be like, oh, this was a close game. But in reality, it never felt that close. What are your thoughts on Indiana, Notre Dame? Any feedback on that game?
I mean, Indiana was just outclassed. Curt Cignetti, I can appreciate the confidence that man has, but they were just not ready for that game. I think that if maybe what I'm taking away from this 12-team playoff is there are teams that have been here before, and there are teams who, because of the 12-team playoff layout, are getting a chance to be here. And those who are getting a chance to be here are not doing well. And so, like Indiana, sure, like there's a case either way that they earned their way in. They what were they, 11-2 or 12-1?
Indiana was they won one loss. I think it was 11-1.
Yeah. They played really well. So like throw them in there, okay? But they've never been there before. Notre Dame has been there. I think Notre Dame has been blown out, of course, but I think they understand what a big game is, and it was also, I mean, the home field advantage. So Curtis Rourke, I think, was my biggest glaring like surprise. He just did not play well at all. So, I mean, the quarterback, you hate to put so much pressure or onus on the quarterback to right the ship, but he just was not as accurate as he has been in the past few games, or the past for the whole season. He just was not. So maybe the pressure got to him, but other than that, I mean, it was kind of you just knew Notre Dame was going to take that game. So aside from it being the first playoff game, which was exciting, that's where the excitement kind of stopped.
And Rourke, he played so bad that like I thought Cignetti would have him, like everything I've heard about Indiana, and I haven't watched a lot of Indiana games this year, but is like short passing, slants, get the quarterback in rhythm. And I just didn't see that at all. Like he did not look in rhythm until like the second half. And then by then it's too late. I would have thought that, and you hear a lot of people saying like they need to get the run game going to set that stuff up, but I thought that he would have been in rhythm a lot faster because they throw the ball a lot. So usually a team that throws the ball a lot, I would think they're going to be in rhythm more. Where like Tennessee, they are more of a run team. I didn't think of Indiana this year as they're a power run team. I thought of them as they run the ball, but they're gonna throw it shotgun, empty formation all the time. So it's just interesting. Again, we're going to get into that. Who should have been there? Not. There's a lot that's probably going to end up being most of our podcast, but it is an interesting question you had here in our notes. Is Indiana better or worse next year? Pretty much, can they rebuild? Rourke is going to go to the NFL. Whether he should or not, I don't know. I don't know if he has more eligibility. I think it'd be smart for him to stay an extra year. I mean, I saw he's maybe like the sixth quarterback off the board, where I think developing would only help him. They were talking, he came from like a smaller school when he transferred to Indiana. Let me just look that up for us real quick.
Tulane. He came from Tulane.
Yeah. So like you're going to Tulane, no offense to these schools, but you go from Tulane 1 year at Indiana to the men's league, like stay at Indiana. I don't know if he has another year. I mean, he's already 24 years old, so probably not. Not there. Hopefully that my internet is tripping off on me. Let I'm just curious if he has another year. I don't think it's going to matter, though. I mean, he is considered a fourth-round prospect, ranging from the 7th to the 11th best quarterbacks in the 2025 draft. And everything you hear, he's a fifth-year senior, so he's not coming back. Back to our question. Will Indiana, can they rebuild? Will they be better? Will they not? What's your answer to that?
I think I kind of liken, again, this is just my opinion. I kind of liken Indiana, other than this year, to a Michigan State. They seem to have 6 or 7 wins, and maybe they have 1 upset, 2 upsets, setting this year aside. I actually think Curt Cignetti can probably, put on another year like he had this year. Maybe not to the extent. I don't think he's going to win as many, but it's going to be a while before they're invited back to the playoff, in my opinion. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't know if they go 11-1 next year, because I don't think we thought that they were going to go 11-1 this year. So it's hard to say that. I don't expect them to. But I think coaching is a huge part of football, and college football especially. And I think there is a lot of bravado with Cignetti, but I think he's a great coach. You hear how Nick Saban talks about him. You hear other respected coaches talk glowingly about him. And so I think he's going to build the right culture to win there. And I think the transfer portal makes it possible for him to bring in almost a fresh set of guys. It's going to come down to the quarterback, losers. Devin, love it, man. Why are we losers? The Vols are losers. What are you saying there, Devin?
Come on, Devin. Give us a little bit more than that.
Yeah. I guess maybe there is a chat.
I'm actually online. Truthfully, I'm not even mad about that.
What?
I'm not even mad about that. I love that. Thank you for engaging, Devin.
Tell us, Devin, who is the loser? Is Booker the loser?
Oh, it's me. It is me.
He's going after you specifically.
Yep. Yep. You're not.
You. To be fair, you invited him on here. So, Devin, bring your friends, and tell us more. Give us a little better explanation there of the losers.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah. So I wouldn't stand on the soapbox that Indiana is going to be back. And again, we're going to get into our playoff talk. I think that will. I'll wait to retort you then. Notre Dame, is Notre Dame for real this year? Question mark for you. Are they losers or are they winners?
So I think I'm gonna take. I'm sorry, I can't get over Devin. Devin, you're an absolute rock star. I don't care what anyone says about you. Notre Dame they beat Indiana. Great job. They're going to go against Georgia, in the next round, and I believe Georgia, even without Carson Beck, is going to absolutely destroy them. So, great job, Notre Dame. You won the very first college football playoff game, and it was a home game, and that's exciting. And it was just a really exciting night. But I think the magic ends for Notre Dame in their next playoff game. What about you?
I'm just responding to Devin here.
No. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Just you can respond to Devin. What do you guys think? Devin, do you think Notre Dame is going to do well moving forward, or are they losers like we are? And you spelled loser wrong again.
Why can I not? Well, he spelled
I'm such a loser. I'm such a loser.
I'm sorry, guys.
Well, wow, Devin, technically Devin put 8 O's in there, so you're fine.
No, I know, but this is just I am. Yeah, there's no way to delete it, so it's out there. I'm sorry, guys.
That is what it is.
My ninth grade English teacher, she tried so hard, and I was just such a stubborn, ridiculous ninth grader. And so, but honestly, this isn't even a tight. It's not. I know how to spell lose. I don't know. The thumbs get bouncing, and and then Devin.
I think it autocorrects because you've done it so often. When you type in loser, it just autocorrects to looser.
You think?
I think that's what's going on. Yep.
It's going to be my thing now. But anyway, we'll see if Devin's still hanging around.
Come on, Devin. He
Notre
probably just
Dame.
Honestly, he probably just popped in to say that, and now he's
long
off,
gone.
But whatever.
If anybody else has questions, let us know. College football, about us personally, myself, Booker. We'd love to answer any questions you guys have. We're enjoying getting more people following us online. Hopefully we'll grow this podcast in the off season. Kind of bummed. Nobody really responded to our listener league call this week. So we will continue to plug that, and we're going to do a listener league, whether it's just with the 5 of us that are in there, or we get some more. We're going to keep pushing that. So if you do want to play fantasy football with us, keep an eye out for those posts. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. I did confirm there is a chat on X, so you can spell loser with 2 O's. My thoughts on Notre Dame, I think that they are they're like, if things go right, they could be a contender, and they have a very realistic shot to the national championship. Like, beat Georgia with a backup quarterback and beat the winner of Boise State, Penn State. So, like, the path is there for them. I just have a hard time trusting Notre Dame. Now, I do like Freeman. Like, seeing his energy on the sideline, I'm like, okay, I want to go to war for that guy. Where when, like, Brian Kelly was there, I'm like, this team's just they're going to lose, you know? So, like, our entire life, Notre Dame has just been that team that anytime they're ranked, I'm assuming that they're going to wet the bed in the biggest moments. So I don't know. I'm still skeptical on Notre Dame. They don't have a quarterback who can throw the ball, and I think against these better teams, you're going to need to be able to throw the ball. And it's they were talking on the broadcast at how balanced they are. I hear that, but I didn't see that. Like, I saw them run the ball and play good defense. I didn't really see them throw the football. And so that you got away with that in a home game, cold weather. You got out to a big lead in a neutral field. I could see Georgia. Now, I saw one thing on the cast. I think they've played 5 times, Georgia, Notre Dame. Every game has been decided by less than 7 points. So Several times on X, I wanted to go off of wait till Georgia beats Notre Dame by 20. But I think it will stay close just because Notre Dame recruits big people. I think when we get to our playoff committee discussion here at the end, that's really what stands out from this weekend is the teams with offensive and defensive lines prevail. And so whether that's SEC, whether that's Big Ten, whether that's Kirk Cignetti, you better get big people in there. Because if you don't have the linemen, you have no chance. Because I don't care how good your quarterback is. If he can't stay upright, he's not good anymore. Or if he's scared looking, that's why I was listening to the Penn State SMU game today, and it was just like, Jennings, he's dropping his eyes. He's not looking downfield because the rush is in his face. And so it doesn't matter how good he is. When that rush is in your face, it's a problem. So good segue to SMU Penn State. The big story was Kevin Jennings throwing. He didn't throw 3 pick sixes, right? He just threw 3 interceptions that led to touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah.
So just a rough day for him. Again, another quarterback that didn't show up in a big moment. Probably wasn't ready. They were talking about it a lot. How the SMU stadium holds 30,000 people. So going to even a non-packed Happy Valley what am I trying to say here? Clear. Sorry, just looking up. He's only 20 years old. Sophomore. So he will be back. So let's remember that for this later conversation. But he will be back. Brashad Smith's going to the NFL. Daniels, I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll bring some pieces back, and they should be able to bring some guys in from the portal. Drew Aller didn't play well, like 13 of 22, 127 yards. The Penn State running backs did what they do, and I think that's going to keep them in games. And
Aller
so,
is the weak link on that team.
yeah, yeah,
Penn State is their defense is elite, stout. You got
yep,
well, I don't know, and their wide receivers have not been super great either with
yeah.
Lambert
Tyler
Smith
Warren.
moving on. But Tyler Warren, I mean, I feel like you could put Tyler Warren behind center and potentially have more throwing yards.
Yeah. I was actually again. I'm a Penn State fan because I'm from Pennsylvania. We lived in Charlotte for 7 years, so like I'm a big fan of the SEC. I just like good football, and so wherever I can get it, let me get for it. Anyway, I was really Bo Perbula was a big story this week. I was like targeting him in Campus to Canton next year because I thought, oh man, he's going to take over this team. He can scoot. And then the big news this week was he had a transfer because of the just wacky transfer rules. Excuse me. So anyway, yeah, just that was kind of a bummer this week. And thinking long term, Campus to Canton, I thought he really had a chance to take that over. But I think Aller's coming back next year, which is probably a good move because he needs to develop as a passer. Tyler Warren, sort of again, they didn't need a high-powered offense to win this game. They just need to not turn the ball over, which they didn't do. So his 4 catches for 33 yards. A couple questions for you here. So is Penn State for real, or is SMU just that bad? What are your thoughts?
I actually think SMU severely underperformed. I thought they were going to do a heck of a lot better today. Penn State, they were at home. It was cold weather. Did you watch that game?
I was listening while I was working today.
So there was a moment. It was in the first quarter. It was like 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and Kevin Jennings, he rolled out of the pocket. They went for it. They were on maybe the 15 or 20 yard line. Rolls out of the pocket, and he has a clear line to go get that first down. Like, he might only gain 3 or 4 yards, but he at least gets the first down. He opts to throw the ball, and he turns the ball over. I mean, the guy gets hit and the ball gets jostled out, and it's an incomplete pass. So ball is turned over, and after that, he just started throwing picks. So I really do think that if he runs that ball there and gets a first down, SMU was moving the ball. So I don't think SMU is that bad. I think Penn State is better than they've been in the past few years. I still think I hold to what I said. Drew Aller is not. I'm not really confident in Drew Aller being super great. So SMU, I think they'll be back they're in the ACC now, and I think they'll be a contender every year in the SEC. Or the ACC. Sorry.
Yeah, I think they have a good coach, and they're going to be able to bring in. They're in that Dallas market, and they have the history. They have the history of being, a powerhouse, and that goes. Spoiler alert to my playoff arguments is like you don't have to be a powerhouse to get into the playoff. Like, you become a powerhouse by you win a Super Bowl in the NFL, you first have to make the playoffs. Then you have to win a playoff game. Then you have to make it to the Super Bowl. Then you have to win a Super Bowl. Some people do that all in 1 year. Some people that takes a couple times. Some people lose multiple times in the playoffs before they figure it out. But it's like that journey of ascension, not just like, hey, you don't just roll out of bed and become the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, sometimes you hire the right coach, but let these teams get into the playoffs. I guarantee you Indiana, SMU, Boise State is going to be able to recruit and bring in transfers to say, hey, look at what we did with these kids. If we bring you in, you're going to take us to the next level. You're going to get us back to this place. You're going to be a big fish on that team, not one of many. And so I think it's helping these teams ascend, not just, oh, man, they got blown out. They didn't even deserve to be in. And so, again, I'm going to pause myself because we're going to get into it. But, Kevin, wow. Yeah, I mean, I have excitement. I'm excited for Penn State, but I'm also like, I could have seen them losing that game today. Like I have very little faith in James Franklin to win a big game, and so you should have blown out. If Penn State is really a powerhouse from the Big Ten, they have big people on the offensive and defensive line. They should blow out an up and coming team that's never played in front of more than 30,000 people. Like that should have happened, and so I'm happy that it did. But I'm not like, oh man, Penn State. I would have been happier if Penn State's offense was like looking like a well-oiled machine. So, all right, let's move along. Clemson versus Texas.
This was a good game.
Was it? This is the game I watched the least of. So why don't you carry us on this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So Clemson, Texas. Yeah, I mean, it was the warmest game out of all of the college playoff games so far. Clemson started out with the ball and drove right down the field and scored a touchdown. I was like, okay, like I think this is going to be a pretty competitive game. I believe Texas went on to like score the next 3 or 4 touchdowns, leaving Clemson like wondering if they were going to have a chance, but they ended up making it pretty close towards the end. With something I'm really impressed with, though. So we are a Campus to Canton podcast. We play fantasy football. Both, if you don't know what Campus to Canton is, college football, and then you keep those players into the NFL as well. Someone that was on our waiver wires early on this year was Gunnar Helm, and I think Gunnar Helm has established himself as an elite tight end. Quinn Ewers sees, I mean, if he's in trouble at all, Gunnar Helm is a safety helm. A safety valve. Sorry. He had 6 receptions for 77 yards and 1 touchdown. He actually led Texas in receiving. So he's been pretty solid. That's something that really stood out to me. And then the other thing, just the ability of Texas to rush on that Clemson defense. I think that Clemson is not I think they're better than maybe people thought. Cade Klubnik played a really good game, had some beautiful throws, and I mean, that Clemson defense is no slouch either, but Quintravion Wisner and Jadon Blue, they just broke off some runs. So I believe, let's see here, total of 292 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns today against Clemson. So I don't know exactly if that's like I don't know if that's a record, but as far as like being able to rush that much against Clemson this year, but I would bet that it is. And so the rushing attack was the most surprising part of that game. Yeah, Texas looks like a very complete team. I would not be surprised if they make it to the title game and potentially win it all. So.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be. We talked about that the last couple of weeks of how they seem to be peaking at the right time, and so maybe they kind of lost to Georgia early, and so ever since then they've been building great momentum. And so, yeah, I think – or sorry, they lost them twice, right? Or they beat them the first
against
time?
Georgia?
Yeah.
Again, no, they lost both times. They lost both of their
both times. Okay.
Their games to Georgia.
So, yeah. Then I guess that argument's kind of out the water. They were building such good momentum, and then they lost in the SEC championship. So it's kind of like which Texas is going to show up. And I think, yeah, they established it. Hey, they are one of the top 3 or 4 teams. Yes. There we go. There's some Vol love.
Oh, man. Get it, TL.
TL. Should we fire Heupel or keep Heupel? TL, are you pro firing Heupel or should we keep him?
No, what are you talking about? Fire Heupel? No way.
Man, okay, I'm letting TL get his just
all right, fine. Man. TL, you go ahead and answer. But if you say Heupel should be fired, I don't know that we can believe you. Keep him, my man.
Yeah. All right. Is Nico going to get better as a passer next year, or UT has a bright
UT
future.
has a
There you
bright
go.
future.
TL's
That's
letting
exactly
it eat.
right.
TL, were you at the game or are you watching from somewhere around the country? We'll let him answer. Don't like Nico. I thought Nico was a gunslinger, like could throw it, but he could not throw it tonight. So,
Yeah.
Well, perfect segue. TL. We just recapped Texas and Clemson. Let's the big one tonight. Tennessee, Ohio State. Man, it was not as close as the score showed, and but it was. It felt like in the second half there they had a chance, and that speed option, 3rd and 7. We I don't know if you were listening, TL, at the beginning of the podcast, but just so you know, Book, that comment, you need to comment on X. So that's sent to YouTube, what you just sent.
Ah, okay.
So if you open the live stream on your phone, then you can, oh yeah, there you go. Throw it up on there. That'll work. So if you comment directly on here, it's going to YouTube. So you can watch this on YouTube as well, but I believe everyone watching is on X. Anyway, so yeah, that speed option, man, was out of control.
Yeah.
I think that they should not have done that. Like, go down on your sword, let the boy throw the ball, not run a play that. And maybe they were trying to catch him off guard, but great pod. Glad I stumbled on here. Well, I'm glad you stumbled on here, TL. Any questions you have for us? You got any fantasy football matchups tomorrow? NFL teams start decisions. Again, we play in Campus of Canton. We play in all kinds of leagues, but the reason we started this was because of a Campus to Canton league that we're both in, and we're like, wow, there's not as much fantasy football content for college as there is for NFL. It's growing, but there's so much content for the NFL. So we love both. We have been covering a lot of college football, college fantasy football, because there's so many players to keep track of, and there's less people talking about it. So we're like, hey, we love this. Let's talk about it. Let's help people create some good teams. So TL, do you play college fantasy football? Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Man, he's engaging. Hey, here's the thing. So, hey, Kevin.
Go ahead, jump in there. I'm going to look up these matchups for him.
Well, what I would like to say is, TL, if you are in some fantasy football leagues, we would absolutely love. Okay, so you said I didn't even know there was college fantasy. I need to check it out. If you go ahead and drop, I'm just making an executive decision right now. If you drop your email in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and send you an invite.
Just send us a DM. Just send us a DM.
Okay, yeah, send us a DM.
On X. Yeah.
Well, on X, if you send us a DM, that's fair. Drop a DM with your email, and we're going to send you an invite to our listener league for 2025. Yeah, it'd be great to have you. Thanks for engaging, man.
All right, I'm looking this up for you, TL. I do have Devontae Adams. My thing with Devontae Adams, we do have a YouTube channel. We're trying to grow it. We just started doing this, and we both have full-time jobs. We both have kids, wives, and so yeah, we're trying to grow it. I would say so we're growing there. We're growing on X, but okay, back to your questions. I have Devontae Adams. I also have Garrett Wilson in a dynasty league, and every week I'm conflicted of like, do I start them both? Do I not? What it is. So I know Devontae Adams plays the Rams. Let me see who Tony Pollard. Yeah, same name. So Tony Pollard versus Indiana. The Titans benched Will Levis this week, I believe. He's trending towards playing ankle. So I'm guessing they're going to go with Mason Rudolph is their backup. Rudolph. Yeah, Mason is in. I'm just looking back here. So weeks 8 and 9, and last week. So weeks 8, 9, and 15. So, yeah, I mean, like last time Rudolph played, Pollard had 14.7, 18.4 points. This past week against Cincy, 8.5. But Cincy's defense has been playing much better as of late. At Indiana in a dome, I mean, Indianapolis has been not very good. So I'd probably, I don't know. I mean, I'm biased because I want Davante Adams to do well. I do think so. Aaron Rodgers needs one more touchdown to get to 500. So I would say book it that Davante Adams is going to catch that 500th touchdown. So I do think he gets a touchdown tomorrow. I think they probably have a similar floor. I think Davante Adams has a higher ceiling than Tony Pollard, if I had to guess. So I would probably go Davante Adams. How about you, Booker? What do you think on that? Davante Adams versus the Rams, Tony Pollard with Mason Rudolph against Indianapolis Colts. Who do you like?
Gosh, so you said that you'd go Davante Adams?
Yeah, I'd go Davante Adams.
I think I'm going to agree with you on that. I personally have Tony Pollard as well on my team, and I mean, at the moment he's questionable. Are you seeing that as well?
Which, yeah, I think it was. It looked like he was going to play though. He was expected to play.
Okay, yeah, I think that Davante Adams has carved himself out quite a role, and so I would, especially in a PPR league, I would go with Davante Adams as well.
Yeah, his last 3 weeks, 17.6, 25.9, 42 points. He's not going to go 40 again, but over 11 targets in the last 3 weeks, 11 and 13 targets a couple weeks before that. So I think Davante Adams has found a rhythm. The Jets stink, but they've realized, like, hey, the only shot we have is Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams doing their thing. And so, I think he's the move. Let us know if you have any other questions. There we go. TL he's stirring the pot.
I think we might need to send him a paycheck or something. So just so everyone knows, if there is, however many people are watching, I see 118. I don't know if that's active or not, but we do have an outline. We're going to talk about college football. We're going to talk about NFL, fantasy football, but TL threw out a start sit question. If you want like any advice, throw in your question in the chat and we'll actually answer it directly on the live stream here. So we do not mind deviating from the outline to answer your questions. And so, yep.
So we kind of recapped Tennessee versus Ohio State.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. That's fine.
You're just demoralized from it.
It's fine. Tennessee was outclassed. Absolutely outclassed.
Well, it's hard to lose your best player after 2 carries and then expect to remain competitive. And so that to me was one of the biggest stories of the game was Samson 2 for 6. I think he ran into the huddle on the second half and just, I don't know if it's hamstring or what, but and then Bishop went down too. Bishop was looking good. And so they're just, I mean, and Peyton Lewis finished with 10 for 77 is no slouch. But he's not 28, 29 touchdown Dylan Sampson that's been hammering the ball all year. And so I think that was a big blow to the Vols from the jump. Jeremiah Smith, we've talked about, is such a stud. And I'm sorry, TL, I know how you feel about Ohio State, but man, how about him showing up in a big game as a true freshman, 6 for 103 and 2 touchdowns. Will Howard's got a little bit of that Baker Mayfield, like you kind of hate him, but you kind of like the swagger, but just I don't know. We'll see how far he takes them this year. What is the bracket? So Ohio State's gonna have who in the next round? They have Oregon in the next round. Okay, so here's our bracket as of today. We've got Texas versus Arizona State, Ohio State versus Oregon, Penn State versus Boise, Notre Dame versus Georgia. So I saw some people today saying that the 8-team playoff starts next week because some of these matchups have been so rough. And so there's some truth to that. So why don't we just get into this here, Book? Let's talk about the state of the playoffs. X has been buzzing with everybody's, I tweeted recently where it was like all these internet committee members are just voicing all of their opinions, and I'm one of them. I've been, but let's get into it here. I see TL is saying SMU is a joke. I know you were kind of on that train. You're on the Indiana. You're a SEC homer, so you think you think Boise State, SMU, Indiana should not be in the playoffs, and it should just be Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina. Anybody above the Vanderbilt line should make it in. Why don't you start with your reason on why you think that is, that we should just throw out all of these delinquent schools, and then I'll retort on why I think SMU was a joke, but I think they earned their spot in the playoff, and so they didn't show up today. But go ahead.
I'm not opposed to that. Kevin. I think that for those of us who love college football, we sat down today.
Tennessee.
We're on the Pacific. There you go. We sat down today. It's 9:00 Pacific time. We thought to ourselves, man, we've got some playoff football. Pretty excited. And it was blowout after blowout. But so do I think there were teams that could have been in the playoff that would have created better matchups in more competitive games? Sure. Like 100%. That's objective. I think South Carolina would have put up quite a fight against Texas or Penn State. Who else was on the bubble? Ole Miss and Alabama. I mean, based on those rosters, I think they would have done a better job against Notre Dame or Penn State, or even against Texas, and so or honestly against Ohio State. Like Tennessee, did they deserve to be there? I'm a Tennessee Vol fan. Did they deserve to be there? There's a lot of people that probably think that they didn't, and I'd be hard to argue that. But there are some teams that would have put up better fights against some of these teams in the first round. But I think that's just the nature of the first round. It's the first round of a play. Like, you've got teams in there that earned their way in, but maybe they're not the caliber of team that's going to do a good job. And so we got Ryan Lightmore, Rocky Top, shit the bed. There's no excuses for this performance. Ryan, you've hit the nail. You've hit the nail on the head. My man. He's exactly right. But anyway, I do not disagree with SMU making it, with Indiana making it. I think as a college football fan, someone who enjoys watching the game and potentially liking competition, I wish that there were some other teams in here. But those guys earned their way in, but they also got dog walked, most of them. So maybe that wasn't the answer you were looking for, Kevin, so that you could retort. But that's actually how I feel about it.
Yeah. To be fair, I wasn't fully listening, which is not very professional.
Oh,
I was trying to. I sent TL a message. I followed you back, and then I was sending him a message just to make sure. I want to make sure. There we go. What do we attribute this atrocity? First off, Ryan, thanks for joining. Let us know, how many beers deep are you, and did you?
Oh my gosh!
And did
Sunday money?
Did you attend? Did you attend? We're not going to just read every comment out here live, Book. Okay, so
yeah, there's kids around.
Anyway.
We can't do that, but
let us know who was at the game and who was just watching from home, and how many beers deep, how many glasses of moonshine you got going. We attribute this atrocity. We just talked about it, Ryan. I wasn't sure if you were listening or had already jumped in, but losing Dylan Sampson, I think, was huge. And we were talking about this throughout the weekend. These road teams have to start fast. You can't get behind early in a hostile environment and expect to come back and win. It's so difficult. And so to start slow, to not have your best player, and then to run a speed option on 3rd and 7, that is Sunday money. He's got it. QB is a dog. That old Samoan, I don't know what he did, but that thing was sweet when he ran in for that touchdown. 6 beers, 4 shots. Hail to the victors. Love it, Ryan. drive safe. No, don't drive. Take an Uber.
Yeah, don't.
Don't drive. Hopefully you're home. Hopefully you're home, and our voices are lulling you to sleep here tonight. So, those of you who are just joining in the chat, let us know if you have any sit-start questions for tomorrow. Fantasy football championships. One time, Georgia, please save us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. But yeah, let us know if you have any sit-start decisions. We might get into my NFL Campus of Canton League. I had some great so far. We're looking good to make it to our championship game, so we'll get into that here in a little bit. But my playoff retort is just the playoff is not just the 12 best teams. Like the arguments, sorry, let me rewind that. I can't rewind it because it's live, but it should be the 12 best teams. Yes, I hear that argument. But it's not just the 12 best SEC teams. Like that's not how it works. And I think Alabama, you make the playoff if you only lose to either Oklahoma or Vanderbilt. You can't lose to both and lose. Did they lose to Tennessee? Right? Go Rocky Top. There we go. Tennessee. We beat Alabama. So really, Tennessee is the reason that Alabama. So there we go. No, you can't lose 3 games and looked how bad. Like all the Alabama fans saying, "Oh yeah, we wouldn't have gotten blown out on the road." I'm like, you already did. Like scoring 3 points as a powerhouse team is disgraceful. Like I don't have that thing in front of me right now, but it was like the last 8 drives of that game, and it was like interception, punt, 3 and out, interception, punt, 3 and out. And I'm like, yes, Sunday money's getting after it. To put ACC Big 12. I think, man.
Oh man, I'm loving this. This is making my night.
Lucky because here's the thing: SMU was a 1-loss team going into their conference championship game. 1 loss, so you can't punish them. 1 loss, and they were ranked ahead of Alabama. Now, again, whether they should have been ranked above them, then that's subjective. They were a 1-loss team. You can't punish them for losing in a conference championship when Alabama, Ole Miss, all these other schools are watching from home. Like, you just can't do that. And so what I'd like to see, TL, I think we need to get rid of the committee. I think almost back to the BCS system. And I don't even remember all the flaws with the BCS. I think the real flaw with the BCS system, there was only 2 teams. And so people were pissed when they were the 3rd team. And then when it was a 4-team playoff, you're pissed when you're the 5 team. And this year you're mad when you're the 13th team. So like, it doesn't matter. If there's a 24-team playoff, the 25th team is going to be irate. And especially if that 25th team is a SEC, then it's going to be going, crazy. So I would like to see, instead of a committee, specific, hey, these are the criteria, and we need to iron it out. 5 teams from the SEC, they get in. Or whatever those numbers are. I don't care what they are. But like, this is the amount that gets in from your conference. Finish top 5 in the SEC or stop complaining. Lane Kiffin, you finished 8th place. You have no business griping on X about boo-hoo-hoo, these games aren't good. You know what? Ole Miss might have put up a better fight. They might not have. They also lost to some inferior teams. And so just hearing Lane Kiffin go off, yeah, you have a better quarterback. Yeah, you have Trey Harris. Yeah, you might have destroyed Penn State, but also you might have lost to. And so give SMU the shot to lose. Does Notre Dame need to join a conference?
Before we go
let me just answer this question real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I just think it's quick. I don't think it'll take us long.
Okay, all right.
I don't want to get past too many questions that we don't answer, since we got a lot of action in the chat here tonight. So I think they should. I don't think they will. They have the independent status. They have the NBC contract. They have the allure of their Notre Dame. So I don't think they need to. I don't think they will. Yeah, I don't think they will. Now, they probably would love to have the first round bye, and I know they can never get the first round bye, but honestly, getting the home game is probably a sweeter option than getting the first round bye. We can get into that in a little bit here, but I think
That would
these
be
teams
that's an interesting question. Like, would you rather have the first round bye or play in the first round but have it be a home game? Because you could go either way on that.
Because these teams today and yesterday are now have momentum. Now they have to wait another 2-3 weeks to play again. So if it was next week, I would be like, man, give me that first. Anyway, buying the Notre Dame hype. What were you going to say there? Do you think Dylan?
Well,
Sampson
I just wanted to. I wanted to respond to Cake Booze. I think he was referring. So he said, "Wasn't this your guys' biggest game in 20 years?" I think he was referring to Tennessee, in which the answer to that is yes. But I do want to say that, like, Jared Booker, at TSP_Booker, I'm a Tennessee fan. Kevin is not. So sometimes, comments will come out of the main account for TSP and it will be biased towards either Penn State or the Philadelphia Eagles or the Buffalo Bills or Tennessee Volunteers. But that's because we're both operating out of that account. So Cake Booze, I am the only Tennessee Volunteers fan here. I think Kevin feels sorry for me, so he'll join in and feel bad. But as far as TSP goes, we try to remain as unbiased as humanly possible, but we let it eat on our personal accounts. So Sunday Money. Go ahead.
I live in Seattle, Washington. I've got some ties to the Huskies. And so the last couple years I've been sort of a Husky fan. But my homer roots are Penn State. And so those are I've become, so again, this sounds terrible. I've got like 3 college football teams, but I don't have I grew up personal. I'll refer my, I love it. Cake Booze. Get after them with it. Yeah. You can trash talk us on any of the accounts. It's all good, man. We'll come back at you. But I would say Penn State Huskies. And then I like the Vols too. Those are kind of my three teams. I like NC State. My father-in-law went there, but again, I just like watching good football. I don't have the diehard college football allegiance that you've been a Vols fan since you were a 3-year-old boy. I just didn't have that experience. I'm a diehard Eagles fan, and that's where I tend to land. But I love college football. I don't have that kind of root, dug in there. So,
do you? Can we? So Sunday Money. Do you mind if I jump on that question?
Why is he so soft? Go ahead.
No. He's asking if I think Dylan Sampson is soft. I don't, but I also don't know what was going on in the game that caused him to leave and not be able to come in. I think once Dylan Sampson left the field, Tennessee became one-dimensional and easy to defend. So I can't say whether it's soft or not, but I don't. Are we both Irish? I'm a mutt, Ryan Lightmore.
It's the ginger. I think that's what it is.
Sunday Money. Yeah, that's the ginger. So I don't think Dylan Sampson is soft, but if I found out that he went out because his tummy was feeling sick and that's why he couldn't be on the field, I would say yes, he is soft. But him leaving the game certainly changed the dynamic of that game and made Tennessee much easier to defend. So
yeah. And it was a lower leg or something like that. And again, if he's got something tweaked, if he's at 98%, that's probably better than the backups. But like if you've got a blown out hamstring, you're not going to be at 98%. So like it just, I don't know what he had going on, but I think the fact that he ran into the huddle and then couldn't do it was like, all right, I think it was something more serious. So it's less rocky now. I don't know if they're less rocky now or not. Are you both Irish? I'm German. I do have some ginger, and he's got some ginger, but yeah, mostly German on this side. I think Booker, you said you're a mix, so I see the Irish with the red. I heard something this week of I was walking through the store And German? Question mark. I don't know, Buckeye McQueen. He asked me, "Are you both Irish?" So I answered that we're well, I'm an American. If you track it back far enough, appreciate it. I'm a proud American. Okay, so I'm not. I definitely claim both of those World War wins. So, anyway, I know, love it, man, love it.
Oh man.
Oh,
I mean, that's fair. I've been told that.
Yeah.
So.
I got the other day I was walking through the grocery store and there's this just random lady's like, "You look like a young Larry Bird," and I'm like, "Thanks, lady."
I can see that. Does anyone else see that? He looks like a young Larry Bird. Anyone else, or is it just me and the lady from the grocery store?
I've heard like before I've gotten I've gotten Eli Manning with my hair, like my brown hair at times, but I don't know. We're not here to talk about Kevin's appearance. Appreciate you, Ryan Lightmore, with your dumb face comment. I'm not an insecure person, so I don't really care. All right, so let's where were we at there? We were on college football playoff committee. I think they just should do away with the committee. One of the best things I read on X this offseason, or not this offseason, but I think it was as the season was ending, was the SEC should have to fight it out. So give 2 automatic bids to the SEC, and then 3 through 8 has to do their own little mini bracket. But again, it's hard to do this with football. You can't cram all these games in. So I don't know what the right answer is, but somehow figure it out from 3 to 8 from the SEC. Hey, you guys play it out for who gets in the last 3 spots, something like that. And so then, hey, Lane Kiffin, you finished 8th place. If you beat Alabama, you're in. If you don't, then you're not. You should have 1 bid. Big Ten should have 8. Everyone should fight for the last 3. Love it, Buckeye McQueen, just going after the SEC. Lane Kiffin, you stink, man. Don't lose to Oklahoma. I looked it up earlier. Who Ole Miss lost to? It's like Kentucky or something like that. And would Kentucky probably beat Kentucky versus Indiana in the chat? Who wins that game? Kentucky versus Indiana, neutral field.
It's a good question.
Or Kentucky Oklahoma versus Indiana. This is kind of our who wins game from a couple episodes ago. Who wins that game? I don't know. I'd take Indiana over Oklahoma because Oklahoma's looked like crap all year. Like they've not been a good team, and so TL's with us. Thanks, TL.
That Oklahoma defense, though, that they've been stout. It's their quarterback play has been pretty rocky, but that Oklahoma defense is stout. Maybe that's the Brett Venables influence there, but I don't know. I'd probably take Indiana as well. Buckeye McQueen. I'm surprised to see Buckeye McQueen say Indiana by 25, considering they're in the same conference.
Well, that's an anti-SEC comment, not a pro.
Okay. Comment. Right over my head.
So it's hard to how well you can take his the SEC's hope this year. I think Georgia still has a good team, and Gunnar Stockton is baller. So I think he came into that game not expecting to start, and so having a few weeks, a month to unrattle his brain after that big hit and plan an offense around him. I think he's definitely more mobile than Carson Beck, and Buckeye is just looking for some action in the chat right now. He's just looking for some SEC haters to get.
I love it. So, I absolutely love it.
I just think Georgia has the depth of team to make some noise and the easy side of the bracket. So he's a long-term quarterback. I think Nico's the quarterback. He needs to develop. So, they were talking about it on the broadcast. Like the wide receivers this year for Tennessee, I feel like has been the bigger disappointment in all the transfers, all the hype. Brazel, Thornton McCoy. Is that his name?
I agree. I agree with Buckeye McQueen, though. I think they have and correct me if I'm wrong, Buckeye McQueen, but I think what you're saying is Tennessee has the talent at wide receiver. Nico is, I think, give him a couple years, okay, but this year he has been the thing holding Tennessee back as far as their passing attack go. Is that what I'm? Thank you, Buckeye. Is that what you're saying? Am I correct?
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. They need a better quarterback.
Well, no, I mean, not even. Okay, yes, maybe they need a better quarterback, but like, I think he is the quarterback for Tennessee. He just needs a little bit of time.
Yeah.
No, you disagree?
But time in college football is non-existent. What do you mean time? If they don't produce, like, you got 3 years. There's no like you got 7 years to develop here. It's like you got a 3-year window where you're going to possibly transfer, get benched, or go pro. So like there's no time to develop. You're either that dude or you're not. And so they can just bring in, oh, you're not the guy? Okay, Bo Prabula from Penn State or some other guy that just threw for 5,000 Tulane. Hey, we're going to bring this guy in to take your job, like the mind
but let me jump in here.
Well,
I'm sorry. I know.
Go ahead.
I continue to harp on Buckeye McQueen. I want to know, though, Will Howard, as a freshman or a redshirt freshman, Will Howard at Kansas State, what were his stats? Was he the quarterback that you saw tonight? Was he someone that you're like, oh my goodness, like Will Howard is going to transfer to a powerhouse team like Ohio State and lead them to a win in a college football playoff? I just don't see Will Howard as that guy, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's less that Will Howard was that guy. It's more like, will they wait for Nico to develop? If he's not taking a major step next year, are they going to remain patient? Now, I think, no offense, Tennessee fans, I think Tennessee will stay patient because, like, I don't know. I think of Hendon Hooker and like you I don't know. It seems like a patient. You wouldn't think this from the fan base on X, but like, seems like a pretty patient fan base. In as far as like, as long as I've been following him, I'm like, wow, he put up with a lot of shenanigans from the team. Where as a Philadelphia fan, like, I'm like them saying don't fire Josh Heupel. I'm like, dude, can this guy like just absolutely wetting the bed? Like, get him out of here. 2 top running backs. Yeah, I mean, talent is you got to surround him with talent. Yep. I'm looking up Will Howard's stats. I mean, last year Kansas State, 2,600 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So like mid-grade at best.
I agree with Ryan Lightmore. Sorry, Ryan. I agree though. Do you see what he said? So people laughed at McCarthy. I don't think McCarthy was that. This is my opinion. I do not think McCarthy was that great of a quarterback, but the system worked well. I mean, you can see what he's doing. What is he? Is he at Minnesota, the Vikings? I mean, I know that he had an injury that ended his season. I just don't think he's that guy, but the system at Michigan, it just worked. And that defense was stout. And he had Blake Corum. Yeah, I don't know. It's a system thing. I agree with Ryan on that.
Yeah. So we have been mind masticing all over the place, in part because we've got a lot of people in the chat, and so that's we do typically have stayed pretty straight line, but having all of you guys engage definitely, we're a little bit squirrel brains at times. So let's talk the bracket next week, or not next week. So I think it's 2 weeks, New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day games. So let's start with Texas versus Arizona State. I mean, does Arizona State have a chance in that game?
No, they do not. Does anyone think Arizona State has a chance? No way.
Yeah, no way. I mean, maybe Scatabo runs absolutely wild.
That defense, that Texas defense is nasty. Like Quinn
Yeah.
Ewers has been. I think honestly, Quinn Ewers is the weak point of that Texas team, and that's saying a lot. That defense is nasty. That backfield is nasty. The wide receivers at Texas are nasty. I don't know. Arizona State has put on quite a run. Dillingham, like congratulations, you have brought a team back from the grave. But Texas is a buzzsaw. I don't see it, and feel free to disagree. But
OSU versus Oregon.
that's the one that I'm most interested in the next round is Oregon or Ohio State. If Ohio State, my opinion, Ohio State plays like they did tonight, they're going to win the national championship. And that's not just because they put a whipping on my Tennessee Vols. I think it all hinges on how Will Howard plays. Will Howard was on tonight against Michigan. He wasn't. They tried. Ohio State tried to run the ball. It just wasn't working. And I feel like Will Howard was not as accurate. So I think that Ohio State has a very legitimate chance to win the whole thing if they play like they did tonight. What do you think about Oregon 2.0, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I think that game was like they had the home field advantage last time, and so on a neutral field, I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it was like Oregon only won that game because it was played in Eugene, but I think both teams. It's going to be one. I mean, there's been so many games of the year but I think this one could be because of the implications, because it's going to put someone in the driver's seat. No, because then they're going to have to play Texas, right? That's in the same side of the bracket. Yeah, they really screwed up the bracket, like really kind of screwed up the bracket there, because like Oregon, Ohio State is good enough to be a national championship game, or Oregon, Texas is good enough to. So I don't know. Whoever makes it through that gauntlet is certainly going to, probably hammer whoever's waiting there, be it a Notre Dame or a Georgia or Boise State. So that'll get them going. Let's go. So Penn State versus Boise State. Look at this professional transitions here. Like wait, professionals that
before we move on,
we have fun doing this. We're hoping to grow, but go ahead.
Before we move on, so TL mentioned he thinks that Arch Manning should start over Quinn Ewers against Arizona State. No. What are your thoughts on that, and why?
It's not happening. I mean, I was about to go on a whole Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, Ewers is along for the ride. He's the weak link. I'm like, that kind of narrative is so just ticks me off, man, because Ewers is I don't think they have captains. Like, I'm sure he is a captain of that team. There's a plan in place for Arch Manning to take the reins next year. And so yes, Arch Manning is good. He will be really good next year, but this is Quinn Ewers' team, and shout out to Quinn Ewers. Well, he has transferred a bunch of times, but he's kind of paid his dues from that mullet, blondie, Ohio State campus. We're like, man, this guy just needs to get hammered by a 300-pound D lineman and like knock some sense into him. But like, he's matured right before our eyes, and this is his team, and I think Arch Manning would be the first person to say that, and so. Yeah, I just think it's Ewers' team, and playing quarterback is not an easy thing. And so to say he's along for the ride is just like, it's just saying like you could put Jared Booker, out there as the Texas quarterback and it would all work out. It's like, no, that's not true. So I think there's not turning the ball over. He played a clean game today, right? Let me pull that box score. No, he did have one interception. 17 for 24. That's decently efficient. But again, they didn't need to run. They didn't need to throw the ball when you run it for 292. And so, sorry, what was your question on Texas there before we were going to move on?
About Arch Manning.
Yeah. No, he shouldn't start.
All right. Well, so I want to play devil's advocate a little bit. Quinn Ewers is a stud. But Arch Manning, there's just like something special. I mean, obviously the last name, but like
Yeah, he's a Manning.
He's a Manning, and he throws a pretty ball, and he has speed that Peyton and Eli know nothing about. Quinn Ewers is good. When Quinn Ewers, okay. So how about this? Quinn Ewers, so sorry. Quinn Ewers is having an off day. You definitely nice. Thanks, Ryan. I used to have a mullet. As a little boy. So thank you. So Quinn Ewers having an off day. You definitely throw. I mean, Manning is competent enough to run that offense.
Oh yeah. I think it's a culture thing. You don't just like bad teams just flip flop back and forth. We're gonna don't get me wrong. If it's the national championship and Ewers is playing like absolute dog do, like it's going to be a Tua Jalen Hurts all over again. I don't think at that point he wouldn't be willing to pull that trigger. Sark was probably on that team that did it. I just think that doing it this early into the playoff when Ewers hasn't played bad, but they did. There was, I don't remember, was it the SEC championship game? I think they did. They pulled Ewers out for like a series or two. And then they were, X was buzzing and the broadcasters were buzzing of, is this it? Is Arch Manning taking over? Start the third quarter, Ewers is out there. Like, you don't just take the leader out of your team because he's going through a rough stretch and you have the young kid waiting. Like that's how you divide a locker room, not how you like project confidence in your guy. And so like there's a point of like if your guy you're projecting confidence in stinks and is not getting it done, then you could lose the team the other way of like, hey, we got this guy who's good. So again, national championship game, Ewers is stinking it up. Even this next game, if he throws 3 picks in the first quarter and Arch Manning comes in and leads them to victory, could he start the following game? Possibly, but it's too soon. Yes, he can throw a 60-yard dime on the run. Yes, he's got the run skills, but Ewers is battle tested, has the leadership, has the maturity that Arch has because he's a Manning, but he doesn't have the game experience in big time college football. So like he's learning a lot, and we could get into a whole NFL talk here of, the Michael Penix, do you sit behind Kirk Cousins for, 3/4 of the season versus Caleb Williams, you throw him in versus Bo Nix. You played 6 years of college football. You have a lot of reps throwing the ball. There's a lot of, but that same type of thing applies to college football. I think let Arch Manning sit on the bench, give him a couple plays to do his thing, run around.
But something that Texas has that a vast majority of other teams do not have is if Quinn Ewers, an elite quarterback, goes down, you have Arch Manning who can step in and run that offense. I mean, that's quite a backup.
So let's keep it moving here because Ryan, you should just come on and be our. You could help be our moderator, keep us on a straight line because we're clearly.
Do you mind
in circles?
We can pay you like $3 a month.
We're not paying you anything. We're not getting paid to do anything.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, we were going to transition to Boise, and then we went back into a Texas. Let's go Boise versus Penn State. Ryan's question here is: does Boise have the pass offense to keep up? Competitive, can Penn State bottle up? I think you meant Ashton, but we'll go with Alshon.
No, it's
rush
Ashton.
defense.
Yeah, he's talking about Ashton GT.
Yeah, I know who he's talking about. I'm giving him a hard time because I'm the one who can. Hey, there we go. He's a man. He's our kind of guy. He understands the assignments. So.
I got you, Ryan. I got you.
There you go. What are you drinking there, Book?
This is a Cascade Fog from a local brewery. So it's a hazy IPA. Nice. So we got you, Ryan. If you can come mediate, we'll figure something out. So
yeah, we'll figure it out.
I do not think Penn State, or I do not think Boise State has a shot. I think that out of all the teams in the college football playoff, Penn State has the easiest path because they had to go through SMU today. They won, and I think Penn State is a better team. And in the next round, they have to go against Boise State, and Boise State is no slouch. But I think they're one-dimensional. Ashton Jeanty is a generational talent, but if you can but Penn State's run defense is stout. Even with Aller being as inept as I think he is, I think Penn State's got what it takes to win that game. What do you think, Kevin?
To answer TL's question, have a good night. We go live Saturday nights, usually around 8 p.m. to recap college football. During the college fantasy football season, we were talking top performers, just recapping the college fantasy football. Bring back Butch Jones.
Bring back Butch Jones.
But yeah,
if he's willing to hand me a McDonald's paper bag with a double cheeseburger and $200 or $300 bills in there, we can do that. TL.
Yeah. So Saturday nights, 8 p.m. That's about. We do release podcasts on Apple, Spotify as well. But trying to grow this live stream is a fun way, especially when we have a bunch of you guys commenting. So have a good night, and hopefully we'll see you again. TL, respond to our message on X. We'll get you in the listener league, get you in your first college fantasy football league. So
is it bad that I kind of want Ryan Lightmore in our league as well? Does that make me a bad guy?
Yeah, no, he's engaging. So Ryan Lightmore, do you play any college fantasy football teams already? While he's answering that. So Boise State, Penn State, I think the pass offense is really going to be set up by the play action. And so whether or not Boise can run the ball is going to sort of determine if they can throw the ball. If they get behind early and they have to be pass heavy, then that's going to be a problem. One issue I see is it's kind of strength on strength is who's going to be able to control the game. And so hopefully for Boise, it's a 21-17 kind of game, and you need to drive late and they can hand it off to Genty and run the clock and kick a field goal to win it, something like that. If this is, Penn State goes up, I play no fantasy. I'm a hermit.
You have way too good of a personality to be a hermit, Ryan.
No fantasy football.
Come on, man. You got this. We'll be your first.
We'll try and find you. Are you on X, Ryan? What's your X handle? Your Twitter handle? Shoot us a message on X, and we'll
DM us, Ryan.
We'll get you in. We'll get you in a fantasy football league. You're definitely knowledgeable. You love some good beers. Will be a good time. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's going to be who can impose their will. I think Boise State does have a good offensive line, which is going to give them a chance. And if they can run the ball, control the clock. The thing with Genty is like some games he gets bottled up for a while, and then he breaks off those 60-yard runs. So that's what I'm curious to see is can he do that against – and I know people say Oregon in week – I'm just pulling open that game right now. Oregon in week 2 was not the same team. Okay, sure. They weren't firing on all cylinders, but they had all of the same players. In that game, Genty ran for 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. They threw for 147. 17 for 40. We don't want their quarterback throwing the ball 40 times. What do you mean we? Okay, so we say we because Booker and I have been driving the bus on Ashton Genty for the Heisman. But I'm also a Penn State fan, so I'm very conflicted in this game because I kind of like both teams, and I don't really want either of them to lose. But if Boise's throwing the ball 40 times against Penn State, I'm afraid they're probably not going to pull that out. But against Oregon, number 1 team in the country, they took them to the brink, and so I think, I think that Boise definitely has a chance. And again, I think I would chalk it up as much as James Franklin has a really bad history of losing big games. And so that also could play a factor. Any other thoughts on Penn State, Boise State?
Well, I think that no one gave Boise State a shot when they played Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl. I don't know what year that was, but with the Statue of Liberty play. So I don't want to sleep on Boise State, but I do think Penn State has the edge. and we'll probably come out with the win there. So,
but
that's
you
all I
just
got.
made your argument of why the SMUs and the Indianas and Boise's need to be in the playoff. Like,
yeah, I want unless it's against Tennessee, Kevin. Like if Tennessee's playing, I will pull for Tennessee against anyone. But if there's a team that I don't really care about, like Oklahoma, I don't care if they do well or not. I will pull for the underdog. And so yeah, I pulled for SMU today against Penn State. I'm sorry. I pulled, for Indiana against Notre Dame. But I think 9 times out of 10 those games end just how everyone thinks they will. But I do love the story of an underdog win.
Yeah. Okay, so one more game next. We're New Year's, and we're going to wrap it up here shortly. But Notre Dame versus Georgia, who's going to win that game?
I think Georgia. I think for me though, maybe. I think so, Ryan.
Possibly.
I think so it's possible that I'll answer the question about Notre Dame and Georgia. Ryan, it's possible that at some point today, I made an offensive comment about how Tennessee was going to put a beat down on Ohio State. And then after Ohio State put a beat down on Tennessee, you decided to join this live stream to clown on us. And then we both realized that we are both human beings that are pretty likable. And so I think maybe we are best friends at this point. Other than, Kevin was my best man at my wedding, but Ryan, I think there's room for 3. So anyway, Georgia, Notre Dame, I think Georgia wins. They're battle tested, even with Gunnar Stockton and Carson Beck being out. I think my man. I think Gunnar Stockton is actually going to give Georgia a better chance at winning that game. And then I don't believe much in Riley Leonard. Call me a bad guy, but Jeremiah Love is the strength of that Notre Dame offense. But Georgia's defense, man, I think that they're going to be the difference maker. So what do you think?
Yeah, I was just looking back at the comments. I was just thinking that Ryan was like, he's like, I just joined to give you guys a hard time, and then I stuck around because I'm enjoying it. So
yes, we appreciate you, Ryan.
I'm gonna have to dip for a few seconds. My baby boy is crying, but I will come back. My thought is, I think Georgia is gonna win that game, and you can take us to wherever rabbit trail you'd like. When I get back, we can talk NFL fantasy football. If anybody has sit-start questions for tomorrow, post it in the comments and let us know. I've been trusting the will of the people with my roster so far, and it is. We'll talk about it here in a second. So, yeah, I'm going to hop off for a quick second, and I will be right back.
Go take care of that baby boy. All right. So I'm running this thing on my own. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to just toss out, or any subjects they'd like to talk about? Ryan, you have been the most active, so maybe the next thing. So what do you think about the early lines for the next games? So I've actually not. I'm probably going to embarrass myself here a little bit. I don't know what the early lines are. Is there a game in particular that you're kind of surprised at the early line? Yeah, I apologize. I don't do a ton of sports betting. Until this podcast takes off, my mortgage takes a vast majority of my money. So between that and hazy IPAs, we pretty much break even each month. So let's see here. So we did talk about the CFP bracket for next week. I think the game that I'm most interested with, though, is Ohio State versus Oregon. Ohio State losing by only 1 point the last time they met is pretty intriguing, and I think that Ohio State is playing with their hair on fire. I actually think Ohio State is going to win that game. Oregon is at home right now. playing foosball or Xbox, and Ohio State had to go out there and grind. And so, and they got a big win. So I actually think that Oregon, let's see, Ohio favored by 1.5. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So I think the first round, I would actually, what do you think, Ryan, or anyone who's listening? The first round bye, I'm not entirely sure that is a benefit. There's more risk not having the first round bye, obviously, because you could lose that game. But Ohio State at home put a whipping on Tennessee. And so they're going to go into that game ready to rock and roll. And I don't know how Oregon could maintain any semblance of motivation and inertia to do well in the next game. And so Oregon's got a ton of talent, but Ohio State, I think they're going to take care of business. So would you rather have a first round bye or play in the first game? I think that's a pretty valid question. True believer, keep playing, time off can hurt. I agree 100%, Ryan. I think time off can hurt. There is a possibility that you lose the game and you're no longer playing. So the first round bye is obviously preferable. You also could potentially lose some players to some injuries. That's also a possibility. But I think that even if you lose a player or two to injuries playing in the first round, sitting out in the first round and watching the first round of the college football playoffs the same way that I did today, that there's no way that that's helpful as you go into the next round. And so I agree with you 100%. So is there anyone on this live stream who is playing ESPN's Bowl Mania? Kevin and I have a Bowl Mania league, and I'm currently 7-1. I picked the wrong. No, actually, I'm probably 7-2 now because I picked Tennessee to beat Ohio State. That was a stupid decision, and we know that now. Did anyone else play Bowl Mania? Is anyone else into that? I personally love playing the games that ESPN has to offer when it comes to. I mean, not if it doesn't, as long as it doesn't involve me giving away my money, because as I previously mentioned, there's not a ton of that going around that I can use on betting. But let's see here. I actually do that. Nice. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, man. No judgment. No judgment at all. Let's see here. So, oh man, we've kind of come to the end of our outline here. Something though that I kind of wanted to circle back on that I previously, Kevin, kind of as we were moving along with our outline, I wasn't able to talk about, is just the significance of that Notre Dame Indiana game. I think that was pretty incredible to have an Indiana, like, because Notre Dame obviously is in South Bend, Indiana, and then Indiana is in India. Oh, welcome back. I was just talking about the Indiana Notre Dame game and how significant that was. I think that was pretty fun to have that being like a college football playoff game. And like Purdue was probably sitting at home, like twiddling their thumbs, feeling left out. But but that was a pretty fun game. And actually, so I apologize, Kevin, if you want to. I was just kind of talking with Ryan. We were interacting a little bit there, but I need to step away for a quick moment as well, and I'll be right back.
Look at us. So we got spreads. Time can hurt. Time off can hurt. So you don't play any fantasy football there, Ryan. What NFL teams, what college team, NFL teams do you like? Are you a Tennessee Volunteer fan? You like the Titans? Well, I'm going to get into it here. I lied to you. I do ESPN fan. Nothing for money, though. So, yeah, my Campus to Canton League, I've been posting some polls, and honestly, I've been setting my lineup crowdsourcing style because a lot of times in the playoffs, I just get so emotionally attached to players that it's hard sometimes to like make a good sound decision because like the pressure of, oh man, if I lose this week, my season is over and I'm gonna be so, oh, you're a Bears fan. Oh, we could get into it tonight. Um, Look at you just distracting me. Um, so yeah, my Campus Canton League, I am in the semifinals. If I win this weekend, I'm in the playoffs. So we're taking a little bit of a detour here from college football, but again, Campus to Canton is you have an NCAA roster and you have a NFL roster. They kind of interact. You can trade college players for NFL players, NFL players for college players. It is, I won't say by far the best, but it has been such a fun way to play fantasy football. Whether you like NFL fantasy football or college, it's been a lot of fun. And so that's sort of the origin of this podcast and this live stream. So in my matchup this week, the NFL team is still going. The big one for me today was my opponent had Lamar Jackson. I had Derrick Henry, and honestly, it worked out about as good as it could have. Lamar Jackson, 23.4 points. He underperformed Justin Herbert, and Derrick Henry had a pretty good game. So that I was just hoping for Lamar Jackson to not go nuclear. Nico Collins also was going against, and he only had 10 or 7 catches for 60 yards. So so far, and I hate these percentages on ESPN on Sleeper because they're never right. The even your projections, it's never right. It's like the perfect average of where the players they always go over or under that, which that's how averages and mathematics works. I get it, but it's like it just kind of sets you up for failure because you're like, oh, I'm projected to win, but then my team underperforms at most times, and so it's frustrating. Um, so yeah, players I have going tomorrow: Bijan Robinson, AJ Brown, Cooper Kupp, uh, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Baker Mayfield on Sunday night. So I'm feeling pretty good that Lamar Jackson didn't go nuclear. Um, Ryan was catfishing this Booker. He does play fantasy football. He just he didn't want to admit that he's a Bears fan, and so that's really why he was catfishing us. So the Bears. Let me just tell you a story here. My son is 6 years. I have two sons. My one son is 6 years old, and I didn't. I was kind of open minded. Like I don't want to force feed my kid to be an Eagles fan, even though I want to force feed him to be an Eagles fan. So I'm like conflicted. Um, and so I grew up, my dad was a 49ers fan, and he let me choose, and I want to do it. The problem is my stinking little 6-year-old chose to be a Bears fan, chose a life of misery and disappointment, and it's just painful to watch. Now, it's not, he does like the Eagles, and he is actually the world's biggest TJ Edwards fan other than TJ Edwards' own family because most people don't even know who TJ Edwards is. He was a linebacker for the Eagles. He went to the Bears. And so he's a huge TJ Edwards fan. So he likes the Bears. I just think the Bears stink and it's just a bad culture. Who's that? You got like that Kevin, there's like a Kevin Collins or Allen or something who is like, he's like your shadow GM pulling all the strings, but Pace is in charge. They're going to hire a new coach. It's just, I don't know. I think Caleb Williams is talented, but I'm the first one to get after Bears fans on my personal account. um, just, I think they should have kept Justin Fields and they should have developed around him, got an offensive lineman, got better defensive players. You had 2 elite wide receivers and a tight end. You didn't need Rome Odunze in the 10th overall pick. He's a great player. I love Rome Odunze from the Huskies, but you didn't need that pick. That was a pick saying we are going to win with shiny toys, and you don't win with shiny toys in the NFL. You win with 350-pound offensive linemen who can pave the way or who can protect your quarterback. That's how you win. And so I just Yeah. So you have Lamar and Nico versus Ravens D. I'm cooked. Um, Anybody else have any sit-start questions for tomorrow? Your NFL teams, 85 Super Bowl, doing them quite some time. We're going to joke they'll never get it. My guess.
Oh man, yeah, that's probably
I
true,
know, man.
and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I didn't know your dad was a 49ers fan.
Yeah, he was.
I thought he was an Eagles guy.
No, he was. I mean, we're not that old, but like we're old enough where like I grew up with rabbit ears and like, my little TV in my room as a kid, and so like you could
Yeah,
just
you're
get the
pretty
local
old.
channel. Like it just. I'm 32. I'm not that old, but like when I was a kid, that's how we watched games, and it was like Sunday afternoons. Eagles game was the only game, and it happened. I mean, they were also good, so that certainly helped. Like I don't think I would have stayed with the Bears, like my son is, just sitting through misery every Sunday. I'm like, boy, come on over. The grass is greener over here, but he's got like a top 5 teams, but the Bears are his clear number one. So sadly,
Yeah.
so I'm not cheering for the Bears to be good, but I'm just cheering for them to not disappoint my son on repeat until he sees the light that he should be an Eagles fan. But yeah, my dad he liked the Joe Montana days. That was kind of his heyday of things. So
Cool.
nice.
Well, I don't know. Are there any other questions we
for
have?
us?
Ryan, you are our
He's carrying
main. You're carrying this entire live stream. If it wasn't for Ryan Lightmore, Kevin and I would both be in bed, separate beds, of course, but we would be in bed.
Let's not give him too much credit. TL, our boy TL. I don't even know.
TL, he was helping out.
TL paved the way. He got this. He got this train going. But Ryan Lightmore and your
he's
4
carrying
beers,
it.
your 6 shots, and your banter is definitely. We were planning to go with 45 minutes, and we're almost at 2 hours here. So,
and that's because of Ryan and TL.
Yeah. So let us know, Ryan, if you have any other questions for us. We're open books for the most part. Bowl Mania, Booker, how's our Bowl Mania doing? Ryan, I'm guessing. I don't think you're in our Bowl Mania. It's not too late. We could probably We could open it up. You would just be behind the score. You would have to do really well from here on out.
So here's the question, Ryan. You tell us. So you get a certain amount of points for every bowl that you pick correctly. Oh, he's leaving. Anyway, if you want to join, we'll open it up. But there's already been 7 or 8 bowls. So you will be behind. But the winner of this Bowl Mania will get a hat of the team, whoever wins the championship. And so DM us if you're interested in that. You will start behind. But we've obviously created a little bit of a connection here over the internet tonight. So if you want in, man, we're more than willing. So thanks for joining us. It looks like you are taking off. Hope you sleep well, brother. Thanks for joining.
Goodbye.
So Kev,
yeah.
As far as Bowl Mania goes, let me tell you where we're at here. So we had 5 people total on our Bowl Mania, and you and I are 2 of those 5. And so I am 9-2. You are 4-6. Yikes! You are 4-6. So
Thanks.
I am. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I love you, but I don't know what's going on.
I picked Clemson. I picked Tennessee.
Yeah, that was a problem. So we do have. So there's a guy named Wilson, and there's a Chad Wagler. Both of those guys are both 11. Or they're 11-1 and 10-1. So both of them are currently.
Now, some of those. Remember, we started. There was a couple people that filled out ahead of time, and so I did take a screenshot. So I think both of them might have picked the first 2 games that we didn't officially. Yeah. So Wilson's got 2 extra wins that will not count towards the hat. which again, that's probably as clear as mud, but falling asleep to you clowns.
The long and short, though, is the winner of Bowl Mania, and this is not the first time we're going to do this. We're going to continue doing this, but the winner of Bowl Mania is going to get the championship hat. And Kevin and I have coincidentally, we've done this with college basketball, March Madness, and we will genuinely send you a hat. So the fact that we only have 5 people in there is pretty surprising because there's like a free hat on the line.
Yeah. It's hard. We've grown some followers this week, but we're still fresh, new. So anyway, we are well off the rails. Sit start. I think let's just wrap it up for the evening.
Okay.
The editing this podcast will be interesting to say the least.
That's going to be bad for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm just probably going to send the whole thing and just call it a day.
Just send it.
That's pretty. That just is what it is. But this live stream was fun. It's fun when people engage with us. Again, keep an eye out tomorrow. We will post. I have one more position group that I need some help on starting. It is the NFL tight ends. Favorite to win the NCAA basketball. Honestly,
Tennessee, baby.
I don't follow college I don't follow any basketball until football's over, to be honest. So I'm usually I might start tuning in by the conference championship game. So that just kind of tells you how much of who's your favorite to win is maybe a better question, because Booker's a homer and I just don't know enough to know. I'm pulling open the rankings now.
Man, do I love March Madness though. There's
Madness.
Now that the college football playoff has started, that will probably rival March Madness. But the idea that they're able to organize 64 teams into a bracket and just have game after game after game. I mean, there's not a whole lot that's more exciting than that. So I love that. Auburn.
So Tennessee is number one. I did not realize Tennessee were 1 and 2.
Yeah, but that means they're not going to win. I don't know the last time a number one team won, but
yep. Kansas. Kansas started. They were like 1 earlier in the year, right? I think they started out, and then they lost 2 games. I tend, you like the coaches, the blue bloods. Alabama's showed strong the last couple of years. I know UConn's kind of fallen apart culture-wise. It looked like their coach was kind of going off the rails in that tournament or something. I saw that a little bit, but I still think come tournament time they could turn it on and do I think they're going for the 3-peat, right, for UConn. So I wouldn't count them out yet, even though they got the 3 losses. They could put it together by the end of the year. So look at our range, everything from March Madness to
I love it.
What else we covered?
We want to focus on Campus to Canton, fantasy football, college football, NFL football. But if I could make a podcast that was just like a vast majority of the time, we're just answering questions that people are like, it's about the people, man.
You're a man of the people.
Man of the people. Dickinson
It's tricky on here because you see the live viewers. I don't think that's always.
No,
I don't always think that's live at the same time. I think that's like views, and that's where these numbers are tricky, because I feel like if we had 219 people, more people would be commenting. I just think people like to talk, and so I don't know, on X it still says 217 live. So anyone else out there have sit-start questions? We're about to wrap this up. We're not going over 2 hours tonight. Unless you get us going, then we might. Any other sit-start questions for tomorrow, or questions that you have for us in general? Ryan, you've been carrying us. Hopefully you're asleep by now. After all that alcohol, I don't know how you're still awake. But you are a man amongst boys. But you just gotta rest into that shot of bourbon or whatever you're drinking and close your eyes, my friend.
Close your eyes.
I guess the other challenge is, I mean, we're 10 p.m. on the West Coast. We're 1 a.m. East Coast. So, yeah, we've probably got 221 people that are salt logs to us. So that's our mission as a podcast, is to put people to sleep.
We have really soothing voices, though. So I can understand how that could happen.
Yep. I don't think anybody else has any other questions. We hit our groove there. We're gonna wrap it up. So until next time, again, we might be off next weekend.
Nope.
Do we have college football games next weekend?
Well, I don't know, but it's Christmas week though, off until Wednesday. Next Wednesday or the fall, like 2 Wednesdays from now, or?
Well, no, it'd be Saturday. Christmas is this coming Wednesday. There's not another playoff game until the 31st. So we could cover some off season. We could cover transfer portal. We could do something like that next week. But see, Ryan, he should be our mediator, and we're the rabbit trails, and he's the drive us straight kind of guy. So
he's like, can you pull it together, boys?
Send us your resume, Ryan. We'll take a look. Anyway, yeah. So next week we'll go on live, probably for an actual short podcast, but we'll talk transfer portal, off-season stuff, rankings. I'm sure we'll have some NFL stuff to talk about. We've got the NFL is in a weird time of schedule right now, where I saw today. So the 4 teams that played today also play on Christmas. So 4 days from now. Yeah, right. The thing is, we don't really cover the full slate of NFL games. One more shot for me. It's just not what we're doing. I mean, we talked a little bit on my fantasy football team, but not necessarily recapping all the NFL games and talking slate and that kind of thing. It just, we don't have enough time for that and cover all of that, all of NFL. But if you do have all of that, all of college, clearly we're both tired. We're all 3 tired here. So if you have any NFL questions, we'd love to answer them. Start questions, but I don't think we'll go through the whole slate this time, at least. That is because
Kevin we are both in a place where if you have start questions, you can send those to us in a DM or comment, or however you want to get a hold of us, and we will answer. So there are some podcasts that will not do that, but we absolutely will. So
all right, until next time, you guys have a good night.
See you, Ryan.
See ya.